greatest evil in all the world, in the universe, is the fact of perishing. And so what he set out to do in his philosophy was to find some answer to the fact of perishing. Is there one? If not, then the whole business of existence is, he says, a mere trifle or bagatelle. And he looks at religions and he says every one of them came into history loaded down with barbarisms and crudities. And yet, religion is our only hope in the face of this perishability. But he had to face the fact of perishability. And this is what his process thought did. When he was just about to perish, there's a Freudian slip for you. When he was just about to retire from teaching, I can testify, he's right. He decided to take the invitation of Harvard University to come to this country, and he took up the position of being the university professor at Harvard University, which was the most prestigious academic position in the land at that time. And it was only after he came to the States that his publication career really got going. So he didn't perish at all. He published and did not perish. Anyway, in order to understand him, we have to, and this is a question that Joe Bracken's book doesn't go into, it sort of presupposes this. We have to look at what is process thought the answer to, or process theology. What's the question that process theology is trying to address? And I think broadly speaking, it's the question of what does Christian faith mean in a world in process, in a world that's moving, that's no longer stuck in changelessness, age after age, but is dynamic, is becoming. Whitehead himself never became a conventional Christian, but some of his followers, like Joe Bracken, in their own search for a philosophical framework that can give expression to what religious faith, in Joe Bracken's case, Christianity means in a world of becoming. Whitehead's thought, as well as those of Charles Hartshorne and a number of other philosophers, provide the kind of right philosophy to articulate a conceptual scheme in terms of which to make sense of what theology talks about: God, redemption, salvation, sin, Christ, and what we can hope for, what we must do, ethics as well. So we need to switch, process thought maintains, from a Platonic way of understanding Christianity, which frankly has influenced the religious sensibilities and the ethical sensibilities of all of us. We need to switch from that Platonic framework, the rigid, vertical, hierarchical view consisting of a ladder of levels or a great chain of being with matter at the bottom, then life, then mind, then angels, then God. We switch from that framework because it's not true to what we experience, and find another philosophical or metaphysical framework within which to come to some understanding of what Christian faith means by God, by Christ, by the good life, by spirituality. And in order to do that, process theology, instead of using Platonic ideas as St. Augustine did, or Neoplatonic ideas, or instead of using Aristotelian philosophy as Thomas Aquinas did, or instead of using Marxian philosophy as liberation theology does, or instead of using existentialist philosophy as Paul Tillich and Rudolf Bultmann and other theologians do. What we need is a philosophical framework that puts us in touch with what science is telling us about the natural world. And this is sort of what Teilhard was doing too. I can't go into his thought tonight, but in a way he was trying to find a framework. He had no use, he said, for metaphysics, but in fact Teilhard was constructing a whole new metaphysical framework within which to articulate the meaning of Christ, of God, of salvation, redemption, and what it means to be a Christian. Process theology, on the other hand, sticks mostly with Whiteheadian ideas. And all I can do is just briefly summarize what some of these ideas are. The first one, of course, is process itself. We have to recognize that we live not in a world of static being, but in a world that's constantly, perpetually becoming. And if you think of the world as made up of a process, then that process is made up not of chunks of matter, not of atoms or molecules, but of happenings. A process of becoming can be broken down into events or into occasions. So those are the atomic constituents, you might say, of a processive universe. These events are tied together by a kind of feeling, to use a very anthropomorphic metaphor. Each event has a kind of rudimentary subjectivity that allows it to synthesize the moments that went before it, and take it into itself, internalize them, and then hand them over to the next event in the temporal series, in the process, as it were. So feeling is very much a part of this understanding of the universe. It's so different from the abstract, mechanistic model of the universe, which Whitehead is contradicting and trying to overcome. In a mechanistic universe, the parts are atomic bits which arrange themselves by bumping against each other, operating all according to invariant physical laws, but not really feeling one another. If the world is process rather than a mechanism, though, the events that make it up internalize one another. And what that means, therefore, is that there is a much more intimate, deeper relationality that ties everything in this universe to everything else. So that, as I said last time, to be at all, to have existence at all, is to be related to other relational centers. And to be alive, especially, means to internalize those other events. But not just to be alive, even to be an atom or a molecule. You have to somehow synthesize into yourself, feel the whole field of energy that surrounds each atomic event. And the metaphor of field is quite important too, in some kinds of process theology. So it's a social vision rather than a mechanistic vision of nature. And the better model than mechanism to understand the whole universe is that of an organism rather than a machine. So sometimes process thought is called organismic thought. Process thought is only one form because there are many different kinds of organismic thought. Even Aristotle had a kind of organicism that dropped out after Descartes and after modern philosophy. And this organism further doesn't just stand there. This organism has a kind of movement about this universe, understood as an organism, which Whitehead refers to in his book Adventures of Ideas as adventure. So ultimately, process, it's not just movement, it's adventure. And I'm going to define adventure more carefully in a moment. But where is the adventure going? The adventure is going toward the intensification of beauty. So that's what the universe is about. The universe is not an impersonal machine whose parts are constantly bumping against, repelling and attracting one another. The universe is an organism which, from its very bottom, you might say, aims toward the intensification of beauty. And the name for that striving or aiming toward more intense beauty is what Whitehead calls adventure. And finally, unlike most modern philosophers, certainly most contemporary philosophers, Whitehead, in order to make sense of all this, to make sense of the fact that the universe is a process of events that feel and attract and internally related to one another, and that the universe is an organismic adventure. In order to make sense, to make it all intelligible, at least for him, he had to bring in the idea of God.